The Smith family carried the last dusty boxes into 213 Winding Creek Road, hoping a fresh start for Mike, Sam, and little Lily would help them finally feel like a family again after a year of struggle. But as they removed the faded sheet covering an ornate hallway mirror, Lily glimpsed a gaunt face glaring from the darkened house next door. "Don't look, sweetie. It's just an old abandoned place," Sam whispered with an uncertain glance at Mike. That night they gathered around a backyard fire chatting nervously with new neighbors. Local townsfolk exchanged knowing looks when they heard where the Smiths moved in. "You should know that place's history. Number 211 belonged to a cult once. They did unspeakable things for it ended in flames and bloodshed decades back." The Smiths laughed uneasily until they noticed Lily wandering toward the neglect-crumbling two-story now swallowed by shadow. Mike snatched Lily's arm back just as an unearthly scream pierced the night air. In the following weeks, the home's sinister past crept from behind 211 sagging walls to seep into the Smiths' lives. It started slowly, strange symbols carved onto their oak tree, leaks of foul black sludge staining the kitchen walls. But soon the hauntings grew violent, as if enraged by their presence, demonic chanting swirling around little Lily each night as she lay terrified in bed, their loyal dog gutted outside her window surrounded by melted candles. Each manifestation seemed connected to the infamous rituals of the cult's crazed leader, who believed he could summon a dark entity to the earthly realm with enough sacrifices, incantations, and innocent blood. Sam found the yellowed papers concealed under rotting floorboards describing the promised glory on the night hell and earth merge as one. She rushed to burn them just as an otherworldly roar shook the home and Mike screamed for Lily as all went dark. Racing up the stairs with the smoldering papers, Sam froze in Lily's doorway. Mike was pinned helpless to the wall by an unseen force, their daughter levitating overhead, eyes glowing red as she chanted verses in an ancient tongue like the possessed cult members decades before her. Sam was momentarily frozen by shock and terror as she took in the scene of her possessed daughter hovering limply overhead, unholy incantations pouring from her mouth in the preacher's ancient tongue as Mike remained pinned by an invisible force against Lily's bedroom wall. In the shadows of the room lurked three eerie specters in hooded robes murmuring and swaying as though feeding on the dark psychic energy now flooding the atmosphere. Sam's gaze caught Mike's and she registered his panic shifting suddenly to warning. Sam spun just as the massive form of a horned demon erupted up from the fiery portal gaping open within the pentagram. Lily's flailing body was suspended above. The outline of an axe melted into view underneath scorched floorboards at Sam's feet. Her mind flashing to page 87 of the cult's journal, the demon could only cross over and take form offered enough innocent blood and faithful sacrifice. Fighting revulsion, Sam hefted the axe upwards to hack at the otherworldly beast's muscular crimson arm just outstretching toward Lily as it attempted full materialization. The demon howled and recoiled temporarily, giving Mike precious seconds to tear free, chanting the only protective prayer he could recall. He leapt over the blood sigils marking the floor to tear Lily from her levitation trance. As the Smiths huddled cradling their semi-conscious daughter, a menacing growl emanated from the fading astral form of the cult's leader by the closing portal. The hooded specters swirled in agitation as the preacher raised a long, pale finger towards the stunned family. "You only delay the inevitable. The cleansing must come. I will see you perish just as I and my flock did that glorious night the Holy One first crossed into this realm." Then they faded away into the walls as Lily regained consciousness weeping, the room restoring itself to normal. Mike and Sam soothed her as they hurried the family to escape into the first rays of dawn. Peering from an upstairs window, Mike noticed the small forms of other ghostly cult members gathering silently in the overgrown backyard of 211 in the pale light, their gaze seemingly beseeching. It was Mrs. Clements, the elderly widow next door who had pityingly told them the full tragic history days before, who possessed the last journal page needed to end this terror. She pressed the fragile, yellowed paper into Mike's hand as he left her trembling by the fire, Lily and Sam already waiting in the idling car. Armed with the final truth in the faded journal page, Mike races towards the deserted ruins of the cult's former compound in the overgrown woods behind the properties. Spurred by Mrs. Clements' revelations, he now knows it wasn't merely fire that annihilated the zealots all those decades ago as commonly believed, but an unstable banishing spell gone wrong. One wrought from darkness that could only be resealed using light and selfless sacrifice. Bursting into the debris-choked inner sanctum at midnight, Mike ignites a ring of white candles and opens the journal to begin reciting the ritual words highlighted for him. At first there is only heavy silence. Then, angry screams resound as the hooded specters emerge wielding blades and chains, their unholy leader materializing last to unleash his fury at the perceived intrusion. You dare trespass here and speak those profane words meant to bind me once again to eternal suffering? The imposing robed phantom bellows, hand raised crackling with malevolent energy. I offered salvation, yet my naive flock betrayed me. An ominous red glow intensifies as the apparitions close in tighter around Mike. He keeps reciting firmly until a spine-chilling roar announces the monstrous horned demons return through the flaming portal, still hungering for innocent blood. Drawing a fiery sigil in the air, the cult leader sends the demon lurching straight toward Mike. At the last second, silvery spirit guardians appear to intercept the demon, revealed to be the ghosts of innocent children once sacrificed by the fanatics. "This ends now," cries Mike, casting the journal into the fire. The preacher wails as spell circles ignite, binding him and the shrieking apparitions in glowing chains. As the freed children's spirits surround the demon, it dissolves back to hell in an explosion of light. A peaceful calm settles, the haunted grounds now purified through one selfless man risking everything to save his family.